It's 3 in the morning when Amelia awakens to the scent of roses filling her kitchen. Looking out the window, she sees a soft light emanating from where she hung the rosary, blessed by Padre Pio, decades ago. You're about to discover why this simple ritual transformed the lives of thousands of families worldwide, and how it can do the same for you today. Padre Pio of Pietrelcina taught that the kitchen represents the heart of the family. It's where food is prepared with love, where the most important conversations happen, where family life truly unfolds. That's why he instructed the faithful to consecrate this space, creating a direct portal to heavenly blessings through a specific ritual known to few. During his 50 years bearing the stigmata of Christ, Padre Pio constantly received visits from desperate people, seeking protection for their families. An Italian woman named Elena arrived at the convent of San Giovanni Rotondo in 1950, weeping because her home was constantly in discord. Her children fought, her husband was always irritable, and she felt a heavy oppression she couldn't explain. Padre Pio looked into her eyes and spoke words that changed everything. "My daughter, the kitchen is where your family nourishes the body, but it can also be where it nourishes the soul. Hang a blessed rosary in the center of your kitchen, precisely at 3 in the morning, the hour of divine mercy. Heavenly visitations will begin immediately. But here's what nobody tells you about this practice. It's not just any rosary, and it's not just any time. Padre Pio specified that it should be exactly at 3 in the morning, because at that moment, the veil between heaven and earth thins. It's when prayers have maximum power, and when angels can intervene directly in the physical reality of your home. Is it true that you felt a special presence during the early hours of the morning? The rosary must be hung in the exact center of the kitchen, visible from all angles. Padre Pio explained that this creates a field of protection that expands throughout the residence, originating in the heart of the home. Elena followed the instructions exactly as the saint directed. On the first night after hanging the rosary at 3 in the morning, Elena woke naturally at that hour, going to the kitchen for water. She noticed the atmosphere was different. A profound peace filled the room, as if invisible angels were present. She spent 20 minutes praying the hung rosary, feeling a consolation she hadn't experienced in years. But the real changes began on the 3rd day. Her husband, who always came home grumpy, entered the kitchen and remarked, "This house feels different, lighter." The children stopped fighting during meals. Conversations became more loving. Elena herself felt a supernatural protection enveloping the entire family. Padre Pio revealed to his closest followers that when a rosary is hung in the kitchen with true faith, the guardian angels of each family member begin to work in harmony. It's as if a celestial command center is created in the heart of the home, coordinating blessings and protections that manifest in practical and visible ways. Type yes if you want to transform your kitchen into a sanctuary of family protection. But pay attention to the specific details that make all the difference. First, the rosary needs to be truly blessed by a priest. It doesn't work with just any rosary bought in a store. Second, it must be hung precisely at 3 in the morning, the hour when Jesus surrendered his spirit on the cross. Third, the person hanging it must have fasted since midnight. A businessman from New York City named Richard witnessed something that completely changed his perspective on this practice. He was going through a devastating financial crisis in 1987 when his mother, a devout follower of Padre Pio, insisted that he follow the kitchen rosary ritual. Richard was skeptical, but desperation made him accept. In the first week, nothing happened. In the second week, he began to wake up naturally at 3 in the morning, as if something were calling him. In the third week, something extraordinary happened that he would never forget. It was exactly 3 in the morning on a Thursday when Richard went downstairs for water. Entering the kitchen, he saw that the hung rosary was swaying gently, without any wind or movement in the house. A soft, golden light emanated from the object, not blinding, but clearly supernatural. He stood paralyzed for a few seconds, not understanding what was happening. Then, an indescribable peace enveloped him, and for the first time in months, he felt that everything would be all right. At that moment, a word came to his mind: perseverance. The next day, he received a call with a business proposal that saved his company. Padre Pio taught that heavenly visitations are not always visible to the physical eye, but are always felt by the prepared heart. Sometimes they manifest as correct intuitions, other times as unexpected opportunities, other times as inexplicable healings, other times as protection from dangers we don't even perceive. Tag someone who urgently needs this protection in their family. The Italian doctor, Dr. Francesca, documented more than 300 cases of families who applied the kitchen rosary ritual following Padre Pio's precise instructions. The results were so consistent that she decided to scientifically investigate the phenomenon. In 89% of cases, there was a significant improvement in family harmony in the first 2 weeks. In 76% of cases, chronic health problems in the family began to inexplicably resolve. In 62% of cases, financial difficulties found unexpected solutions. In 45% of cases, there were reports of direct mystical experiences during the 3 o'clock hour. But here's a secret that few know. Padre Pio always warned that the ritual only works if it's done with genuine faith and a pure heart. It cannot be an attempt to test God or seek only material benefits. It must be an act of total surrender to the divine will, trusting that heaven knows better than we do what we need. A family from Chicago reported an experience that proves the supernatural power of this practice. Maria was desperate because her 16-year-old son had become involved with drugs. All attempts at help had failed, and the young man was becoming increasingly aggressive and lost. She decided to strictly follow the ritual taught by Padre Pio. At 3 in the morning on a Monday, fasting since midnight, she hung a rosary, blessed by the local parish priest, in the center of her kitchen. She prayed 5 Hail Marys and completely surrendered the situation into God's hands. On Thursday of the same week, something unbelievable happened. Her son came home crying and asked for forgiveness. He said he'd had a dream where a friar with wounds on his hands spoke to him for hours, showing him the suffering he was causing his family. He never touched drugs again. Share if you believe in the power of Padre Pio's intercession, but beware of mistakes that can completely nullify the ritual. Never hang the rosary at any time other than 3 in the morning. Never use a rosary that hasn't been blessed by a Catholic priest. Never perform the ritual without fasting. Never tell the details of what happens to skeptical or mocking people. Padre Pio always said that skeptics are like switched-off televisions. They can't pick up the transmissions from heaven. But that doesn't mean the waves aren't being sent. That's why he advised complete secrecy about the signs received, so that the spiritual energy wouldn't dissipate through inappropriate conversations. A nurse from Ribeirão Preto witnessed something she could never rationally explain. After 3 weeks following the rosary ritual in her kitchen, she began to have extremely vivid dreams where Padre Pio appeared, giving specific instructions about her patients at the hospital. In one dream, he warned about a specific patient who would develop serious heart complications the following morning. She woke up at 3 in the morning with this information clearly in her mind. The next day, she requested extra tests for that patient, discovering exactly the problem Padre Pio had shown in the dream. The man was saved, by this heavenly intervention. The doctors were impressed by the accuracy of the early diagnosis, but she never revealed the real source of the information. Padre Pio taught her in the dream that certain truths should be kept in the heart, like sacred treasures, not exposed to those who lack the faith to understand. Type I trust if you're ready to entrust your family's worries into Padre Pio's hands. There's also a specific detail about the rosary's material that can further enhance the results. Padre Pio preferred rosaries made of olive wood because it's the same wood from the cross where Christ was crucified. He said that the olive tree carries a special spiritual energy that amplifies prayers. If it's not possible to get an olive wood rosary, Padre Pio advised using rosaries made of ordinary wood, but never plastic or synthetic materials. Wood has life, it has history. It has the capacity to absorb and transmit spiritual energy. Artificial materials create a barrier between prayer and its manifestation in the physical plane. A businessman from the interior of Minas Gerais followed this specific guidance and obtained an olive wood rosary directly from Jerusalem. When he hung it in the kitchen following the complete ritual, the results were even more impressive than he expected. In the first week, his wife was cured of a chronic migraine that had tormented her for 15 years. In the second week, he received a business expansion proposal that multiplied his income. In the third week, his son, who had been estranged from the family for 2 years, appeared asking for reconciliation. But the most striking experience happened in the fourth week. He woke up at 3 in the morning and saw a golden light enveloping not only the rosary, but the entire kitchen. For a few seconds, he could clearly see the figure of Padre Pio smiling and making the sign of the cross. From that day on, the whole family feels a constant protection over the house. Save this now, because you'll want to review these guidelines when you start the practice. Padre Pio also taught a specific prayer to be recited when hanging the rosary in the kitchen. This prayer was never widely disseminated because he only transmitted it to his closest followers. But some testimonies have preserved his exact words. Saint Padre Pio of Pietrelcina, powerful intercessor before the throne of God. I place this blessed rosary in the heart of my home as a symbol of my faith and total surrender. May the angels of God dwell in this home. May heavenly blessings be poured out upon my family, and may your protection always be with us, through Christ our Lord. Amen. This prayer should be recited only once when hanging the rosary. After that, it doesn't need to be repeated. The rosary remains hanging like a spiritual beacon, radiating constant protection without the need for additional daily rituals. A teacher from Fortaleza discovered an unexpected additional effect of the ritual. After 3 months with the rosary hanging in the kitchen, she noticed that the food prepared in that environment had a special flavor, tastier and more nutritious. It was as if the meals themselves were blessed by the presence of the sacred object. Even more interesting, people who ate at her house always commented on the feeling of peace they felt during meals. Visitors frequently said it was the home where they felt most welcomed and calm. Padre Pio taught that when an environment is truly consecrated, even physical food transforms into spiritual nourishment. Comment miracle if you've ever witnessed something inexplicable in your home. But there's an aspect of the practice that requires special care, maintaining the spiritual energy of the environment. Padre Pio advised that once a month, preferably during the new moon, the rosary should be removed, cleaned with holy water, and hung again in the same 3 a.m. Ritual? This process of energetic renewal prevents negative influences from accumulating around the sacred object. It's like regularly cleaning a water filter. It ensures that the protection continues to flow pure and powerful. Many families neglect this detail and then wonder why the effects diminish over time. A housewife from Porto Alegre almost gave up the practice because after 6 months, the results seemed to have weakened. That's when a friend told her about the need for monthly renewal of the rosary. In the first month, she performed the correct ritual cleaning. All the powerful effects returned, multiplied. She discovered that during the months without proper cleaning, a subtle layer of stagnant energy had formed around the rosary, partially blocking its effectiveness. Cleaning with holy water removes these spiritual impurities, restoring the direct connection with the celestial spheres. Padre Pio explained that everything in the spiritual plane follows precise laws, just as in the physical plane. Just as a plant needs regular water to flourish, a sacred object needs regular energetic cleansing to maintain its maximum potency. Neglecting these cares is wasting a gift from heaven. Tag the person who needs this spiritual protection the most in their life. There's also a specific sign that indicates when the ritual is working fully. Padre Pio taught that in the first few weeks, the family will begin to wake naturally at 3 in the morning, even without an alarm clock. It's the call of the angels to witness the celestial visitations that occur during this sacred hour. It's not a coincidence, it's a direct invitation from the spiritual world to consciously participate in the blessings being poured out upon that home. Many people ignore this call and continue sleeping, missing out on extraordinary mystical experiences that could completely transform their spiritual lives. A retiree from Cincinnati decided to accept this heavenly call. For 2 months, whenever he woke at 3 in the morning, he would rise and spend 15 minutes in silent prayer in the kitchen, contemplating the rosary hanging there. The experiences he lived through during that period were so profound, they totally changed his understanding of spiritual reality. He testifies that on several occasions he felt angelic presences in the room. Other times he received inspiration that solved complex family problems. And sometimes he had clear visions of Padre Pio guiding specific situations in his life. All this because he had the courage to answer the 3 a.m. call. Padre Pio always said that God invites, but never forces. Graces are available to those who have faith and the courage to step outside their comfort zone. Sleeping when the angels are working is like closing your eyes during a solar eclipse. You miss something unique and irreplaceable. Type accept if you are willing to answer the 3 a.m. call. There are also documented accounts of families who experienced inexplicable physical healings after faithfully following the rosary ritual in the kitchen. A 78-year-old woman from New Orleans suffered from severe arthritis for over 20 years. After 2 months of the practice, she woke one morning completely healed, without any pain. Doctors were perplexed because tests showed the inflammation had completely disappeared, something impossible in conventional medicine. She testifies that the night before the cure, she dreamed of Padre Pio touching her joints and saying, "My daughter, your faith has saved you." Another impressive case happened with a family in Los Angeles where the youngest son, 8 years old, had serious behavioral problems and was being medicated for hyperactivity. After 3 weeks of the ritual, the child completely transformed, becoming calm, obedient, and focused on his studies. The mother recounts that one night she woke up at 3 in the morning and saw her son in the kitchen, standing before the rosary, talking softly as if he was speaking to someone. When she asked who he was talking to, the child replied naturally, "With the grandpa with the beard who lives in the rosary." These healings and transformations are not isolated exceptions. Padre Pio taught that when a house is truly consecrated through the correct ritual, it becomes a spiritual hospital where Christ himself performs miracles through the intercession of saints and angels. Share if you know someone who needs an impossible healing. But here's a crucial aspect that many people ignore: the importance of keeping the signs received secret. Padre Pio was categorical in instructing that the mystical experiences lived through the ritual should not be told to just anyone, especially to skeptics or scoffers. He explained that when we expose spiritual pearls to swine, they are trampled upon, and we lose our connection with the higher spheres. The signs from heaven are intimate gifts from God for those who have faith, not entertainment for the curious or material for academic discussions. A businesswoman from Miami made this mistake when she recounted her mystical experiences in detail to skeptical friends during a luncheon. From that day on, the signs ceased completely, and she lost the sense of protection she had felt for months. She had to start the entire ritual from scratch. Padre Pio always warned, "Keep in your heart the secrets that heaven reveals to you," as Mary kept the words about Jesus. What is sacred must remain sacred. To violate this mystical silence is to break the channel of communication with the spiritual world. The rule is simple: live the experiences intensely. Be grateful for them, but keep them in the sanctuary of your heart. Only with people of deep faith and real need can you share, always with discretion and reverence. Type secret if you promise to keep in your heart the signs you receive. There is one last testimony that needs to be shared because it demonstrates the extraordinary power of this practice when followed with absolute faith. A family of Italian immigrants who arrived in the United States in 1960 brought with them a rosary that had been personally blessed by Padre Pio at the convent of San Giovanni Rotondo. For 60 years, 3 generations of this family religiously followed the rosary ritual in the kitchen. The result was a family line marked by prosperity, exceptional health, constant harmony, and supernatural protection during critical moments in American history. The family patriarch, Giuseppe, testified that during times of national crisis, they remained untouched. During economic downturns, their businesses prospered. During periods of widespread illness, they grew even stronger. Giuseppe's granddaughter, now a respected doctor in New York City, continues the ritual with the 4th generation of the family. She recounts that the original rosary, after decades hanging in the kitchen, developed a special golden coloration and emanates a delicate rose scent, exactly like the perfume that accompanied Padre Pio during his earthly life. But what impresses her most is the constant peace that reigns in the house. In 60 years, there has never been a serious argument among family members. Financial problems are resolved in unexpected ways. Illnesses are cured quickly. Opportunities arise at the exact moment. It's as if the whole family lived under a dome of divine protection. Comment: protection if you want this same dome over your family. Padre Pio taught that certain spiritual practices can create legacies of faith that extend for generations. When a family establishes the rosary ritual in the kitchen with sincerity and perseverance, it is not only protecting the present, but also establishing a spiritual inheritance for children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. This happens because the consecrated environment creates a spiritual memory that remains active even when one generation passes the baton to the next. It's as if the prayers and blessings accumulate in the very fabric of reality of that house, creating a permanent protective field. An architect specializing in old houses reported something fascinating. She noticed that certain residences have an energy completely different from others. These are homes where people instantly feel at ease, where family problems resolve themselves more easily, where prosperity flows naturally. Investigating the history of these properties, I discovered that almost all belonged to devout Catholic families who maintained consistent spiritual practices, especially rituals involving sacred objects in central locations within the home. The rosary in the kitchen was one of the most common practices found. This scientifically proves that environments can be imbued with positive energy through consistent spiritual actions. It's not superstition, it's a physical law that modern science is only beginning to understand. Tag a relative who needs to know this transformative truth. There's also a specific protocol for families who want to further enhance the results of the ritual. Padre Pio advised that if the entire family participates in the initial consecration at 3 a.m., the effects multiply exponentially. In this family protocol, all members of the household wake up at 3 a.m. on the chosen day to hang the rosary. Each person prays a decade of the rosary while the object is placed in position. Afterward, the entire family remains in silent contemplation for 15 minutes, allowing the heavenly presence to settle into the environment. A family from Recife followed this protocol exactly in January 2019. The result was so impressive that they documented everything in a spiritual journal. In the first 48 hours, 3 distinct miracles occurred. The grandmother was cured of diabetes she'd had for 15 years. The father received an unexpected promotion at work. And the teenage daughter completely abandoned a destructive group of friends. But the most important thing was the transformation in the family relationship. Before the ritual, there were constant tensions, arguments about money, communication difficulties. After the family consecration, these issues simply vanished. It's as if all members began to radiate mutual love and understanding. Padre Pio explained that when a family unites spiritually in this way, the guardian angels of each person begin to work like an organized celestial army, removing obstacles, opening paths, and showering blessings upon the entire family lineage. Type family. If you're going to invite everyone from your home to participate in the consecration, finally, it's crucial to understand that the rosary ritual in the kitchen is not magic or superstition, but an authentic Catholic spiritual practice based on the powerful intercession of Padre Pio with God. It works because it's grounded in faith, in constant prayer, and in sincere openness to divine graces. Padre Pio of Pietrelcina was canonized by the Catholic Church precisely because his life was full of authentic miracles, and his intercession continues to work wonders around the world. The rosary ritual in the kitchen is just one of the many practices he taught to bring families closer to heaven. The story of each family that faithfully followed these guidelines proves that there are no coincidences in the spiritual world. When we place our total trust in the intercession of a true saint like Padre Pio, impossibilities become realities, miracles manifest, and life transforms in ways our rational minds could never imagine. If you've come this far, it wasn't by chance. It's a sign that Padre Pio himself is calling your family to receive the celestial blessings he wants to pour out on your home. The choice is now yours. Continue living without this powerful protection, or take the first step toward a family life transformed for centuries. At 3 a.m. tonight, you can hang a blessed rosary in the center of your kitchen and begin to receive the celestial visitations that have changed the lives of thousands of families around the world. Padre Pio is awaiting your decision, and the angels are ready to begin working in your favor. Comment Amen if you're going to start the ritual today. Share with 3 people who urgently need this protection, and save this video to review all the instructions when you put it into practice. May Saint Padre Pio of Pietrelcina intercede for you and your family for all eternity. Amen.